All right, well, today is the day. We're finally going to tear this VK down. I know a lot of people have been super excited to see me tear this thing down. I'm kind of sad that this is the circumstances that we had to do it because it's broken. But today we're going to find out what broke, and we're going to find out why it broke, hopefully, and then what we're going to do to make it better. Um, and then also, real quick before we get started, I wanted to answer a few questions that I get a lot of the same question on. Apparently, I kind of left a few things out of the last video that where I talked about the motor, so I wanted to hit on those real quick. Probably the two or the few biggest ones is what the more details on the rods and pistons that are in it, and I will get more detailed once we take it down. I'll show you the rods and pistons that are in it. I'll talk about them, give you part numbers, order numbers, anything you guys need to know as far as specs go on that, and then what ECU and harness. Uh, I'm a big Haltech guy. This thing is on the Haltech Nexus R5 ECU, and I'm actually using their universal V8 harness. That thing is awesome. It saved me an insane amount of hours putting harness in this thing. Uh, I mean, I changed a few connectors, built a few sub harnesses, and bam, this thing's running. So, highly recommended if you want to go that route. It's actually pretty affordable as well, which is cool. And then, what's my favorite color? It's blue. So that should cover it. I'm gonna grab the camera now, and then I'm gonna show you a couple things on the motor that I think are cool. That should answer a few more questions as well. And then I'm gonna shut it off, get the oil pan off, get the front cover off, crank pulley, dry sump, all that stuff off. That way I can get a little more naked, and it'll be easier for me to kind of break down the rest of it on camera and not bore you guys to death. So let's get started. All right. Well, while this thing's got a little more accessories on it, I wanted to go over a couple things and answer a couple questions that I've gotten in a little more detail that now that we can see it. I guess we'll start cooling system. So the thermostat housing bolts right here from originally. The way I have it set up is water pump into the block, water goes through the block, and then it comes up in the back through the head gaskets into the heads, and then it comes forward and it comes out here. So this is how I have it set up. Made a fill right here. Kept this real low profile so I could put a low profile intake on it. And then one other little bonus is there was a little flange right here. Made that my coolant pressure reference spot. Worked out real well. Coolant pressure wise on this thing is phenomenal. I mean, it's barely rises going down the track. I mean, 4 or 5 psi usually. It's awesome. So doing real good there. Head gaskets are sealing up awesome. Haven't had any problems with that. Knock on wood. Moving on, oiling system perhaps. So this is on dry sump. It's 5-stage pump. For those who don't know, 5-stage basically means there's 5 sections. And then always one of the stages is for actual pumping the oil. So you got one stage to pump the oil, and then I have 3 stages going to the oil pan down there, and then I got one stage going to the that goes up front to the turbo since it's so low mounted that it actually pulls it right out of the bottom of the turbo, help keep it from smoking and all that stuff. So then oil gets pumped out of the pump, and then it goes into the stock timing cover like that, and it feeds down the stock main oil galley right here, and actually grab my oil feed right there. So crank trigger wise, I've had a few questions on that. This is a Ross dampener. It's got their crank trigger wheel on it, and it is a 12-1. So it actually comes with 12 even teeth on it. I ground one off. That way it's got a missing tooth. Works a little better. That way if anything happens to the home sensor, that it can actually run the car just off the crank sensor. So, and then as far as the home sensor goes, or the cam sensor goes, I kind of set it up custom. The factory one's in the back of the head, right there, and I didn't really want to use the factory sensor because it's got a weird pickup on it. I put a single pickup on the cam gear, and it's got this Hall effect sensor that picks it up. Once I get the timing cover off, I'll show you how I did that. It was a little more complicated than I anticipated, but I'll show you guys how I did it at least. Um, these front billet covers, MA Motorsports actually made these, but they quit making them years ago. So I'm actually probably this winter gonna take these off and then have them scanned, change a little bit of stuff on them, and then see if I can't offer them to you guys. And then yeah, then see. This is our crankcase pressure reference. I put there. I had a couple people ask me what the heck that was. And this thing actually barely makes any crankcase pressure. I mean, on almost 40 pounds of boost, it makes about 1.5 pounds of crankcase pressure going on track. And I think that's kind of attributed to how I have it ventilated. And how I do that is 2-12s in the valve cover. But then I actually have this down here. So this is the access plate for one of the timing chain tensioners. And I had MassFab make this little plate for me, but this is a -16 and it vents the block, and so it goes down the side of the block and up to a intermediate catch can. So the both 12s and the 16 go to a oil separator that's on the firewall, and then from that can back it goes to a puke tank that's in the trunk. So it works real well. Let's see what else. Another cool thing is coolant temp sensor. This is a Rife or whatever how you want to say it sensor, but it's a 12 millimeter stud or threads, just like a 2J or SR or most of the other Nissans. So pretty simple there. But yeah, I guess that's it. Well, I'm gonna get a lot of this stuff out of our way, and we'll start tearing into the meat and potatoes of it. All right, so we got some of the riffraff off, time covers, oil pan, all that stuff. Already seeing some things I don't really love in the timing system. So let's get in here closer. So right away I noticed this guide is kind of peeling up a little bit. Now these are coyotes or coats guides. They're not OEM Nissan guides, so maybe that's my fault for taking the easy road and getting those. And then the timing chain is just insanely tight. I mean, it's like rock hard. It looks like the tensioner is like pushed way up and out. So not sure what's going on with that. Maybe too much oil pressure. I don't know. So as far as timing chains go, this is using the 2016 and up VD chains for both sides, and the rest is all stock components. I've seen a couple people that have probably like 5 different people that had billet guides made or had them, or someone made them for them. Every time I ask them if I can get some or where I can get them from or how they got them, it's always the same weird response of, there's a genie that I found and they granted me 3 wishes. One of the wishes were, billet guides for a VK56, because I can never get them to tell me how they got them or where they got them from. So we're actually working on having some made right now. They're getting drawn up, so hopefully we can have those soon. Maybe hopefully before I put it back together. Same with tensioners. These are just plastic bodied hydraulic tensioners, which sketches me out a little bit. So I've seen a couple of people that had billet ones made that were just mechanical bolt that sets your tension, and then you just block off the oil passage just behind there. Yeah. So I did mention the home signal pickup. That's pretty much how I did it. I just took some key stock and yeah, I just bolted it through. I tried to weld it, but apparently this is made of like powdered metal, and it does not like the weld, because every time I strike an arc, it try to explode or do something weird. But yeah, it's just bolted through. I threaded this. The bolt comes from the back side. It sits flush, and then I kind of tack welded the bolt from this side so it can never come out. You might have a better idea of how to do it, but that's just how I did it. So. All right, well, I'm gonna get the valve covers off, and we'll go look in there and see how that looks. I'm a little nervous about that actually because these use a similar bucket design to like a 2J uses, and for whatever reason, I would tear those buckets up all the time in the JZ, especially on the exhaust side. They would just pit the middle of the bucket out, and I constantly had problems with it. So I'm fingers crossed, hoping that these don't suffer the same issue. But we will find out in a second because I literally never had the valve covers off these since I put the motor in it. So find out. All right, let's get a better look at this thing. I mean, they look good. Cams look good. They're not beat up. They look really good. Get a better look once I get the cams out of it. But yeah, these are factory DLC coated lifter buckets, which I think helps too. And man, that looks great. Super excited about that, honestly. One of my biggest fears was having to deal with that again, because these aren't quite as easy to replace as on the 2J. So not having to fuck with that ever again would be really nice. Sweet. All right, well, I guess it's a good point at this time to tell you guys what actually failed, because I could see it pretty much right away as soon as I got the motor out. Now, what caused it, I don't know. I felt some notchiness when I was rolling the motor over to TDC, so kind of expecting something weird to happen, but grab a flashlight. So, from what I see, and don't talk shit about my port job. This is my hand port job. Yes, I know I'm not a professional porter. I'm sure Dave from Head Games is gonna trash talk my port job, but it's okay. So if you look down in there, one of these is not like the other. You can see that back valve guide is missing. Well, at least the tip is. I'm sure most of it's probably still in the head, but the tip of it cracked off and fell off, and you probably can't really tell in the camera, but I can see a little hairline crack on the other side. All the other guides in the head look good. I don't know why. Assuming it happened when I missed that third gear, it happened. Just it's really hard on a thing when it's making full power and it goes straight to free road rev limiter. So it's hard not to expect things to break. I don't really blame the VK for this. I blame the stick shift life and whatever I have going on with my third gear issue on tearing it up, but it is what it is. Hopefully the piston's not damaged. I can see with the borescope that there's some stuff. The noise I'm sure I'm hearing was part of the guide is in the piston and beating against the head. So I don't know. Hopefully everything's salvageable. We'll find out once I get it apart. But I did pull a turbine wheel or a turbine housing off turbo, and it absolutely murdered the turbine wheel, which is phenomenal. Super sucks, but I already have the turbo off. Talked to Precision already. They're gonna have it tomorrow, and they're gonna knock out fixing that thing for me. So shout out to those guys for always being so helpful to get us back to going when we tear shit up. So all right, well, get this timing cover or timing component stuff off. Get the cams out, and we'll zip these heads off and see what the real damage is, and then we'll keep going from there. Why don't you guys back up a little bit? You're in my way. All right, quick pause. All right, so just to be transparent, I'm going to show everything that I find. I mean, I don't hide anything from you guys. These guys look like crap. I don't know what's going on there. They almost look like they're like burnt. Got some weird shit on them. This one, it's like peeling up. You don't know. That's weird. So I'm either gonna have to get some OEM ones, or hopefully we can get some decent guides made in quickly, because these obviously aren't gonna hold up. That's for sure. Hmm. All right, so I got the cams out. Man, those buckets look good. Absolutely amazing. I'm so excited about that. You have no idea. Fantastic. Even the other side looks good. All right, well, it's one thing down. Let's go ahead and pop these heads off. See what we see how bad our damage is. All right, well, looks like we got the piston a little bit, and the bore's a little bit. It's got some scuffs on it, but it might be okay. I'll have to kind of investigate that a little bit more. Don't really feel it catching, so that might be a good thing. I know it's a little bit ugly. Looks like it was dragging on there, but it doesn't really feel like it dug into it or anything. Might be a a simple quick touch up hone and re-ring. Piston took a little damage. Actually, looks like this one probably jumped out and got that one too. Although they definitely got peppered. They don't feel horrible. They might clean up. Let's check out this head. Just gonna take this off. Huh. So this is cylinder 7. This is where the guide broke, but and it's beat up in the head. But it looks like there's some guide material in this one too. It's stuck in the head for sure. Interesting. So those guides are still in that one. Intake guides. Through their exhaust. Weird. I mean, sometimes you get some weird revision and it can come out the intake side or it fell down and bounced off the valve and then went up in the intake manifold and then back down and out into this cylinder. Kind of crazy. Sucks. So that's the resistance I was probably feeling when I rolled the motor over it. It was the piston touching that chunk of metal. So here you can see my top fuel hoops. Things work like a champ. Check this head gasket out. Looks great. I don't see any signs of combustion leaking or anything like that. So that's awesome. It's working great. That's good news. Well, that kind of sucks, but at least it seems salvageable. I think even the head's probably salvageable. Put some guides in it. Got some fresh valves. Go from there. Did talk to Dave Calio at Head Games. He's gonna put some guides in this dude for me. Appreciate that. So get these things off, get them boxed up, and ship to him, and see what he can do with them. All right, so got this head off. Everything looks fantastic. Pistons look great. Look the same as they did the day they went in there. So head gasket on this side looks great too. No signs of any leakage. So super excited about that too. Man, it's great. All right, I think I'm gonna roll this thing over, and then what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna knock one or two of the pistons out. I want to check the rod bearings, see how they're faring, and then I'm gonna pull the center main cap off, and we'll see what the bearing wear looks like on that center main cap, because that'll tell us if the crank's deflecting or not, or how that's holding up. About to make a mess. All right, so got the number 7 piston out. Checking bearing wear. It really doesn't look bad. I mean, I know on the camera it probably looks terrible, but all that did was wipe like that little bit of coating off. But there's no, I mean, it's smooth as can be. for 10,000 RPM on a steel rod V8, I mean, it looks damn good. I mean, it's got some hits on it. So, like I said before, I'll tell you what some stuff about these pistons and rods. So these are a custom. Well, you can call them a custom Krilla rod, whatever you want to say. But they already have made these before. I talked to them at PRI. I'm like, hey, trying to make 2,000 horsepower the VK56. They're like, uh-huh. And I'm like, well, they're like, well, we've made rods for them before, and I told them how much power I wanted to make and how much RPM I wanted to spin it to, and they're like, well, you can do that with the steel rod, no problem. We just got to get it to our engineering team and blah blah blah. So, long story short, I told them what I wanted to do with it. They popped this rod out, and this is what I got. So it seems pretty stout so far. It was not cheap by any means. Um, that's why we are exploring some aluminum rod options, and we are in the middle of that right now. And I'll touch base on that here in a minute towards the end of the video. Got some exciting news on that. Pistons. So let's see. That thing just got some gunk on the side, but it don't look too terrible. So these pistons are a diamond piston. Uh, they already offer a shelf piston for the VK56, but I called them up, talked to Mike at Diamond, and I pretty much took the shelf piston and we sat down with him and I kind of designed my own in a way. I told him all the things I wanted to do to this piston to make it better. So what we changed is we made it full skirt, so the skirt goes all the way around. They thicken up this boss a lot. We went to a 250 wall pin and we used pin buttons instead of C-clips. We moved the ring pack down a little bit from where they are factory, because factories are up pretty high. And then we changed it from a 1.2 millimeter ring to a 1.5 millimeter ring. So, yeah, I mean, but it's been a stout piston. Can't complain. Took a valve guy to the face. Keep on partying. So, all right, well, let's get that middle main cap off and see what that looks like. And hopefully you don't have any signs of bearing deflection or anything like that. So find out here in a second. All right, well, got that center main cap off, and I have to say it looks freaking amazing. I mean, it doesn't look any different than it did when I put it in there. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, I mean, there's no wear at all. So that means the factory crank is taking 2,000 horsepower with no deflection. So I mean, that's awesome news as well. So I mean, that just gives me a little more, secure feeling that we're going to push this thing even harder. So let's see what else. If anybody else wanted to see, so even on steel rods on these blocks, you got to kind of grind the block out a little bit to get them to fit, and that's what you got to grind. That on each side, you can see just how close it is. One more thing I want to do touch base on too. So I was told from a fellow VK guy that road races his VK. It's got a pretty cool VK50 twin turbo like track car. But anyway, he said that these are prone to cracking just like the Coyote stuff is. Apparently, there's a keyway in here that holds it, and then right at the keyway, it likes to split because these are just a powdered steel material. So looks like the good news is Boundary makes those gears as an aftermarket, just like they do for the Coyote stuff. I ordered a set 2 months ago. I still don't have them, so I need to get a hold of them, see what's taking so long. Last time I talked to them, they said that they were doing a whole production run on them, so hopefully that means we'll have a bunch in stock here shortly. So, all right. So in closing, um, looks like we're gonna have to check out those two pistons that took the damage. Hopefully they'll all buff out. Hopefully there's no ringland damage or anything like that, and we can reuse them. If they are, my plan is basically hone it, re-ring it, put a fresh set of rod bearings in it. Even though they didn't look that bad, they do have some wear on them. So, and we got it apart, might as well put some fresh rod bearings in it. Probably just keep rocking the same mains that are in it because they look great. Um, then yeah, get Dave to put some bronze guides in these heads and some fresh valves, and we'll get back out there and we'll keep pushing stock block, stock crank, and just see how far we can take it. In my opinion, I don't think the turbo is going to have enough gas to break this thing. So it's a next gen 98 millimeter, and I don't think that we could. I think the turbo is going to max out before that the motor is going to get unhappy about it. So that's kind of crazy to me. Um, but hey, that's cool. I mean, it's also awesome. So we'll see. We'll see what these last two races have in store. So we have FL2K and World Cup finals, and we're gonna let it rip both tracks. So quarter mile racing, stick shift racing. So we'll give it the business. See what happens. So I did earlier talk about rod options and some other exciting internal things that are going to happen with the VK. So number one, we do have a head stud kit that will be available in about a week. We've been working on this for a little bit. It's a custom head stud kit that we ordered a bunch of. It is specifically made just for the VK. So unlike the head studs I've used, it takes a little bit of fuss to make them fit, and then you got to order extra parts to make it work. It gets a little costly. These will be one-stop shop. Drop them in, perfect fit. It's got the right length studs. It's got bull nose on the bottom, so it bottoms out in the block like it's supposed to. The right size. I mean, they're a 22,000 psi stud, like an ARP 2000. Another cool feature about them is they don't have an Allen key in the top. They actually have a socket cap on it, so it won't strip out quite so easily. But real excited about those. Like I said, we'll have them on our website probably like a week or two because we should have them in our hands then. So that's another exciting product that we're working on, and amongst others. So as far as rods go, kind of had the crazy idea to use an LS rod. These rods and the crank and everything are really, I mean, they're not really close, but they're pretty close to what an LS is. And so the crank pin diameter is about 20 thousandths bigger on a VK. So what we're going to do is turn down the crank 20 thousandths to get the right diameter for an LS bearing. And then an LS rod is actually quite a bit wider than the VK journal is. So how we're going to accomplish that is we're going to take about 25 thousandths off this side of the crank, this side of the crank, and off each side of each rod. And that'll get it in the ballpark to where it needs to fit on the VK crankshaft. And I've already kind of dummy fit an LS rod in the block with no bearing on it just to see if it fit. And it looks like it'll clear the block okay. I'm going to have to grind it a little bit more than it is right now, but it looks like an LS rod will fit in there. Another big gain with that is that we'll get to use the LS has a much wider small end, so where the pin goes, and it uses a bigger wrist pin. So if that all works out, it's at the machine shop right now. If everything fits like it should, then I'm going to go ahead and talk to Diamond. I'm going to order a custom set of pistons for the VK that uses a LS pin, and the width will be for an LS rod. And then also what we'll have to do is, since the aftermarket LS rod is a 6125 rod and these are 608, just like a factory LS rod pretty much, um, then we'll just move the pin up into the piston a little bit farther uh, to combat that longer rod, which is also another gain. I mean, longer the rod, the less stress on the rod, less stress on the cylinder walls. So all gains going to that. Plus, I know we don't have to deal with getting a custom rod made. It's just a little bit of machine work and just a common LS rod off the shelf that everybody has in stock. So that'll be awesome. I mean, the initially when you machine the crank, it'll be a little bit of work, but after that, when you go to service it, it's just a little bit of machine work on the rod, pop them in, you're done. So, um, and then also, I really don't like how wide the small end is on these rods. It's kind of like almost the same width as basically like a 2J and the same wrist pin as a 2J, but a piston that weighs almost twice as much. So I feel like if we put an aluminum rod in this thing with that size pin and that width with that big old slug of a piston, it's just going to wallow out the small end, which I've already had problems with on a 2J. So I think even heavier piston is just going to escalate that problem. So hopefully going to the LS size stuff will kind of like prolong that issue. And but yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. As it progresses, I'll let you guys know. If I get it back from the machine shop and all is good, I'll make a little video on that. Intake manifold shipped today. Super excited about that. It's coming from Qatar, so I don't know how long it's going to take, but once I get that, I'll make a little video showing that off as well. So I'm super pumped about that. So the next time it comes out, we have a fresh motor, new billet intake manifold, and hopefully some better timing chain components as well. So yeah, so stay tuned, and hopefully I'll do another video putting everything back together, hopefully, and then we'll see everybody at FL2K. All right, thanks guys.